This is The Real Shift with Templeton Walker
and Kristen Cantrell,
where we break down all things real broker, why we both decided to move our businesses to real brokerage. We interview top agents from across the nation, like you're going to hear today. Guys, welcome back to The Real Shift podcast with Templeton and
Kristen.
And we are honored to have a great friend, someone that has been a mentor and colleague to us here at Real Brokerage, Clayton Gits. You're out of Virginia. You guys, he has a 1,700 person network inside of 18 months, which is insane. I want to unpack that story, but specifically, we really want to talk to indie brokerages, team leaders, people that own multiple businesses, because Clayton, you're one of the best business owners that we know that has integrated Real into your stack, and we'd love to unpack that, so thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Excited to have this conversation.
Yeah, I feel like you've been one of the funnest surprises for me moving over to Real, because I didn't even know who you were, even at EXP, because we were at EXP together, and then we got to know each other really well when I moved over, and you are definitely you have so much value to offer in so many different ways, so I'm excited you're here.
Yeah, thank you.
Clayton,
what do you guys want to touch on?
Well, I think it's important that we at least frame this, because you guys were both at EXP.
Yeah.
Made the decision to come over to Real. Your decision, Clayton, was 18 months ago. I know you've spoke about that online before, but can you give us the Cliff Notes version of how and why that decision was made and what has happened? Because you've grown tremendously, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, well, first of all, like all respect to EXP and to Glenn. You know, I was with Keller Williams for 12 years of my career, and I got introduced to this virtual space, of course, through EXP first, and I got it right away. I was just having a conversation with an agent who's moving over from Century 21, and just telling him that, in my opinion, I think that these virtual models, it's the new model, and traditional franchises are going to continue to have challenges if they don't dramatically, change what they're doing. And so for me, I spent 7 years at EXP, had a ton of fun, by the way, and myself and my partners there built an international organization with 1,540 agents, partners located all over the world. I think the important piece to that, Templeton, is we had 3,375 people work their way through our network, but I could never get above 1,540 partners. Mm-hmm. So if you do the math, it was right around 56.5% attrition. And that was not unique to us, by the way. I think it's important to point out. It wasn't just our network that was bleeding at the time. And so when I started looking around at other options, by the way, I looked at most of the options. I looked at LPT. I briefly thought about Epic. And then I had a friend at Real. And when I really started to unpack the model, and specifically the culture and the technology and just the vision that the founder had for, what's technology. Have you guys, and by the way, this is, kind of an aside, but kind of not. Have you played with Atlas yet?
No.
So when you get a chance, go download Atlas. Who would have thought? I'm 50 years old. Who would have thought that Google would ever, in our lifetime, have a competitor? Well, now they do. So Atlas is OpenAI's search engine that is now competing against Google. And guys, when I tell you, so I downloaded it this morning. I have, and this leads into the question, I promise, Templeton. When I have multiple multi-million-dollar buyers right now looking in Richmond, Virginia. Okay, so I think we have 3 or 4 of them. One of them has very specific needs. So I downloaded, this new browser, and I asked it, it's ChatGPT. I asked it to use Zillow to set up a home search with the intersection of 3 Chopped and Grove within a half-mile radius, over $1 million, number one. And I want another search for, we call it the Museum District, over $1 million. And I want to be notified every single time a new listing, not a pending, a brand new listing hits the market. It took over, guys, my screen with my permission. It took over my screen, pulled up Zillow and started going through all of the, like, clicking on the buttons on Zillow for me,
That's insane.
set up the searches, and is already notifying me
Oh, wow.
of properties that are hitting the game has changed. So all that to say, when I saw what Real was doing with specifically with their technology, with artificial intelligence, obviously with their financial technology program, I just, no one else is doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I just think if we don't jump on board with artificial intelligence, we're going to get left behind. So that was a major, to answer your question, Templeton. It was the fact that we were losing a lot of agents, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it then. I think I figured it out now. Because Real is just a very sticky model, and so anyway, it was a combination of the technology, the banking platform, and just tired of kind of swimming against the current.
I love it. So within 18 months, and you were at EXP for 7 years, you said?
7 years. Yep.
And now in 18 months, you have a bigger network, right? Just to call it what it is, like, just the math is the math. What changed? Like, I know for Kristen, you've talked about how sometimes there was just folks in your world that loved everything you were doing, but EXP was just a non-starter for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then when you moved to Real, like, that door was just now open.
Yep.
Was that your same experience, Clayton, or like, has it just been an easier sell, or like, what's the difference?
So it was, and I'm actually, I'm sensitive to this conversation, and I think you'll understand why, Templeton. The last thing that I want to do is come across as, speaking negatively about any of our competitors. I'd rather they do that. I just don't want to play that game. So let me answer that question like this. There is a difference between a community, my opinion, that encourages competition amongst their agents wearing the same jersey.
Yep.
And a community that encourages more of a collaborative environment. Okay. That is the number one difference. And not that one's right or wrong. There are people that clearly are thriving in the EXP model. And there are people that are clearly thriving in the Real model. But the difference between building a network that is competing against, let's take Kristen, for example. I would rather work together with Kristen, regardless of who she is affiliated with, to help Kristen grow the entire community, to educate and to mentor and to coach. And so let me give you an example. I do one or two things really well. That's it. And I'm 50 years old. And so it's taken me a long time to realize that I'm not good at everything, but I'm good at a couple of things. I'm good at scaling businesses, and I'm still learning, and I will always be learning. But when I'm teaching other agents at Real how to scale businesses and how to scale businesses profitably, and ultimately the end game is to basically build a business that is worth owning, that doesn't take up all of your time.
Yeah.
And so when I'm teaching that, I'm not teaching that at Real to my little individual network. I'm teaching that to the entire 31,000 agent community. Mm-hmm. And again, that's the difference. At EXP, I was, because of the, not right or wrong, just because of the way that they've set it up there, I had to compete against Kristen, to compete against you, to compete against 4 agents. It's just completely different here. And that's what I think has led to the stickiness, because I don't have to build a coaching organization or build a better value proposition than Kristen, for example, because Kristen's a part of the community. Yeah. They're going to have access to Kristen and me, regardless of whether or not we're associated through a network or not. And that once people like really understand that, and again, obviously EXP has its benefits, but from a culture standpoint, it's just a difference between the two models, and it's worked really well for us. Our attrition is 17.5% at Real, versus 56.5%. And it's allowed me, by the way, Gary Keller was right. Sort of. Gary said, remember in the beginning at EXP, Gary said, "Oh, it'll never work. It will take your focus off of your business." Well, I can tell you that it did for me. And my real estate company went in the wrong direction. My property management company went in the wrong direction. My capital company, where we invest and flip and wholesale and all the things, went in the wrong direction because 100% of my focus was spent on competing against my friends. And that is the complete opposite. So now I'm back in the driver's seat with my real estate company. That's scale. We have a second best year ever. Property management company, best year ever. Capital company, best year ever, because what we focus on expands.
Yes.
And because I have this whole community, as I said, you, Kristen, that is pouring into this network regardless of our affiliation. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it really does. It's like true leverage. And I love how you put that. So I really want to speak now to, you have so many conversations with broker owners, and I hear still, like, I hear a lot of people, they are like, I want to start a brokerage. I feel like that's the direction that I want to go. And then they start to look at Real. Why do you think that Real would be a better option than going and starting an independent brokerage in your local market?
There's a really good book called They Ask You Answer, and the 2025 version is called Endless Customers. And I encourage everybody to go check it out, because it's from an inbound marketing standpoint, it's the answer. It's the answer for to break free from the paid leads. It's the answer to kind of formulate your own destiny. And the reason I bring that up, Kristen, is because you have to kind of put yourself in other people's. The whole They Ask You Answer philosophy is, what is keeping broker owners up at night? What are the issues that they are having a difficult time solving? So one is liability. It's the liability that keeps a lot of these broker owners up at night. And so if we can remove that exposure for them, which we can with this platform, that is an issue that has been solved. One of the other issues that's kind of surprising is finding the time to come up with content to like legit provide valuable, relevant content for your agents so that they can go out there and be dangerous in the field is hard. It's hard. So giving them access to One Real, to the Real Academy, where, as I said a couple of minutes ago, they have you, they have me, they have hundreds of agents that are operating at a really high level. I walked into my office about a week ago, and my sales manager was, we do mandatory training in our office every Tuesday. And she had something up on our big screen that I hadn't seen before. So afterwards, and the agents were like completely engaged, and there was this amazing conversation. And so afterwards I asked her, I said, hey, what was that? And she was like, that was the academy. There was this guy that was teaching, talking about mindset and the psychology of sales. And he was crushing it. One of our, real agents that is not affiliated with us at all. So that's another piece that is keeping broker owners up at night. Being able to offer your agents, access, if they want access to multiple streams of income. As a broker owner, you're probably not going to have a publicly traded company, right? So, which means you're not going to be able to offer your agents shares in a publicly traded company. Well, now you can, right? Technology, access to the artificial intelligence that Real has to offer, access to a banking platform where agents can reduce or eliminate a lot of the fees associated with running their businesses at Real. When you put all of these pieces of the puzzle in place and just make sure that the end user, who's the broker owner, that is, what are the sleepless nights? If we can solve a lot of those or all of those issues, then it's a no-brainer at that point.
I agree. I did a reel the other day that ended up doing really well, talking about Real Capital. And to scale business, it typically needs, you need people, you need software, or you need capital. And for me, when I look at Real, I'm like, okay, even if I went indie, which I wouldn't want to do that personally, my technology stack's not going to be able to keep up. And then access to capital. I opened my app the other day, and, lo and behold, I have an uncollateralized access to $155,000 right now that I'm like,
cool.
I'm like, what the heck? Like, this is amazing. And, Clayton, you can speak to it, is businesses need money to grow or to scale or to find profitability. Have you seen that? What has been your favorite tool, I guess, as if you were speaking to an indie or a big team that's moving over? what are one or two of the tools that you're like, this alone is a game changer?
So for me, and I'll be able to answer this question. I would answer this question differently in a couple of weeks because I know what's about to be released, and we can touch on a part of that if you like. But for me, it's the fintech component.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was looking at Real originally, and realized that Tamir was building a bank inside of, fully integrating a bank inside of the technology. And you guys are you both familiar with Profit First Banking?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. From you.
Yeah. Okay. So I struggled for years. I'm 50 years old and I've been in this business for 20 years. For years, I kept telling myself I'm not going to get caught by the tax monster this year.
Mm-hmm.
And inevitably, I was moving money around to pay quarterly estimated taxes or to pay those annual taxes, that big tax bill every year. My accountant was like, hey, good news, bad news, right? You owe $275,000 to the federal government. And after I threw up, then I had to go find the money.
Mm-hmm.
And so what Profit First tells us and teaches us and does is when you automate the movement of your money from income to owner profit to owner compensation to taxes and then ultimately to operating expenses, and you hold your business accountable to surviving off of what's left, right? So let's call it 50%. And by the way, that's how Real runs. That's how all of these virtual models run, because they share revenue. So they have to survive, in Real's case, off of the 40% that's left. And once franchise owners, by the way, understand that, because let's take Keller Williams, for example. The owners are trying to pull as much money out of the franchise, the regional owners, the local ownership, the team leaders, and they're trying to pull as much money out of these individual franchises as they possibly can, which is one of the reasons why the profit sharing numbers were always, no one was ever satisfied with them. Well, we flipped that model upside down, and it's kind of like Profit First, because Real shares 60% of the 15%, 85-15 split, right? So the 15% the company takes, they share 60% of that back with the agents that help the company go. So back to Profit First. Now, Real has integrated or is integrating the Profit First model, or a version of it. I don't think we can call it that, but it's a version of it where you can automate the movement of your money based on whatever percentage you choose. Right. So let's say, Kristen, you want to take 20% of your money and have it automatically move from your income account to your tax account. You can do that today inside of our bank.
I do
Right.
exactly
And then the money.
that. And it's literally my
Good,
favorite thing.
good girl.
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
Pat
So
myself
the
on the
money,
back.
so the money is there. And I'm telling you, it sounds simple, but it just destroys agents' businesses
Yeah.
multiple times per year. And we're solving that piece. And why is that my favorite part, Templeton? Because when you encourage agents to bank with Real, now all of a sudden we're not just a real estate company, we're a bank or a financial technology company. And so the vision for this thing is that Real can take advantage of all of the capital, just like Starbucks is, with the $1.6 billion worth of customer app deposits that they're sitting on any given day. Real will take advantage of all of that capital that's sitting there, and they reward us in the form of points that today, as I said, we can utilize. We can pay with points to offset the cost associated with running our business as Real. Nobody's doing that. And as we continue to acquire shares through our production and all the other ways that Real gives ownership in the company to us, we'll see where this thing lands in the next, 18 to 24 months as this market turns around. But that's the piece that I'm probably most excited about.
I love it. And you mentioned you're like, there's something coming out in a couple weeks that you could touch on. I'm curious. What was that alluding to?
So, the piece that I know that I can talk about is AI voice and text go live November 3rd. And so, we are, and this is kind of in line with how we started this conversation. AI is moving so fast. If we pull this off, and you can sit down with a client, and let's say, Templeton, you're my buyer, right? And I'm sitting down with you, and you say, Clayton, I'm looking for 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, up to 650,000 in XYZ area.
Yeah.
And so imagine just picking up your phone and pulling up the app and speaking into your phone and saying, create a home search for my client, Templeton, 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, up to 600,000 in XYZ area. And then that home search is instantly created. And then you receive a text message from my digital assistant that with links, right? So it sounds something like this. Hey, Templeton, this is whatever, like Ben, Clayton's executive assistant. We've identified some properties that match your search criteria. We've linked to them below. Take a peek. Let me know if you see anything that you like, and I will schedule a showing for you. Okay. Yep. Now, by the way, all of this technology can be built today with third-party AI apps, and right, we've integrated it. Mm-hmm. And so you click on the link, it takes you to our proprietary search engine that we purchased about 5 months ago called Fly Homes. And then you text back and say, hey, 123 Main Street looks interesting. Can I see it tomorrow at 3:00? My digital assistant, I don't even know potentially that this conversation is taking place. I'm up here in Fredericksburg, Virginia at a volleyball game with my kiddos, right? And my digital assistant is scheduling showings on my behalf. So it will instantly scan my calendar for my availability based on the parameters that I set, text you back and say, Templeton, Clayton's tied up tomorrow at 3. How's 4:00 on Monday? You respond, that would be great. And then through a showing time integration, my digital assistant schedules that showing for me.
Cool.
It's a game changer.
Yeah. And don't you feel like if you're not doing this stuff moving forward, like for the agents that are at, let's say, 100% brokerage that is not adapting to the way that the world is moving forward, like what do you think is in the future for them?
So I think, Kristen, that when you're talking about all of the inefficiencies that we deal with on a daily basis and that our clients deal with on a daily basis, if we can solve a big portion of that inefficient behavior, so the way that our clients navigate through the pre-approval process, the way that they have to figure out title typically, and maybe they're working with our preferred vendors, maybe they're not. They're just being thrown so much information. What this technology, the vision of this technology is, if we can streamline that entire process through this AI line of communication, where we're not only teeing up listings that are unique and that change based on instant communication from our home buyers, we can manipulate that data very, very quickly. But then when they're ready, we can also connect them with a loan officer. We can also take them through the title process. If we can solve the inefficiency, which, by the way, hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent and thrown at this problem Zillow, right? If we can solve that inefficiency inside of a brokerage platform, so much so that consumers tell their friends about this process that they just went through, and then they come to Real and work with us because we have solved a lot of these inefficiencies. I think that's where we're going to see the game change. AI is all brokerages are going to have to adopt this. But the advantage that Real has is because we've already built the foundation, and it's 7-8 years in the making. That when I had a hard time wrapping my head around this, Kristen, in the beginning. Like, having integrated AI instead of bolted on artificial intelligence is a huge differentiator. And that's what we've built. So we'll know more in about a week when we turn this thing on and 31,000 agents have access to it. But imagine being able to connect lead sources to this thing. Yes. Imagine an AI that can speak to our clients in multiple languages. Imagine an AI that can speak to your clients in your voice with no latency, Kristen, and have an in-depth real estate conversation, but it's not you because you're with your kiddos.
Yeah.
Right. All of that is now possible.
It's wild. Powerful. So you run your team at Real, obviously. So why don't you speak from the team leader perspective and plugging into the Real platform and how that's been?
Yeah. So, there are a couple of different ways to look at that. And I would say, here's how I would answer that. For me as a team leader, having access to a community of agents that are all willing to help me. I had a conversation with a gentleman yesterday who's coming on board, arguably one of the top influencers in the country, if not the top. He'll be announcing next week. And to be able to have access to this person who's not a part of my network is that's what I'm talking about. And the what this person is doing, try not to give too much away, what this person is doing, and just 10 minutes of speaking with them was a game changer. I had my whole marketing team in the room having a conversation with this person. So it's the community, of course, and having access to a larger community, number one. Especially if you're an independent broker owner, or a team that is just struggling, as we said, with all of those things that are keeping us up at night. We're solving a lot of those issues. So that's number one. Number two, the technology. Like, and again, we'll see when we flip the switch where this thing really goes next week. The banking platform. And then I think for me, I'm speaking just for Clayton here, having access to these multiple verticals, there's a switch that we can pull, a lever that we can pull, that if so by pulling, every other decision becomes easier or unnecessary. Gary Keller wrote the book, The One Thing. I think it was his best book. And so I believe that the switch for all of us is building a media company. I've after at 50 years old, 20 years in the business, I believe that having access to platforms, YouTube, IG, X, having access to all these platforms where we can get in front of guys, 10. If you can get your message out to 10 people, if you're just starting out, right, that'll turn into 50 or 100. Now, when we create content, and this is not that impressive, by the way, but we're getting 600 views, 1,000. So I'm in a room every time I create a piece of content. I am basically in an auditorium with 600 to 1,000 people. And when you and having access to not just local buyers and sellers, but having access to a national audience of real estate agents that are eager to learn, and then you just give it all away. You just give it all away. You give all the good stuff away. And agents want to be around abundant-minded people, in my opinion, and people that are growing. And so it's these other verticals that Real offers that have become really important to me, because I see it as an entrepreneur, when a very large monthly check shows up that you don't necessarily need, then that, for us, it becomes a part of the legacy plan. So we're sitting down with our girls next Tuesday, and we're going over our 100-year legacy plan. Where do we want to be 100 years from now? And then we work backwards. And we're reestablishing our family mission statement, our family core values. And I'm happy to share this with you guys, by the way, if we haven't talked about it. But when you have access to these additional verticals, and whether it's investing in real estate or revenue share, whatever it is, but having access to more than one vertical outside of just your real estate sales is a really big deal. And Real gives us that option, right? So 100% of that money today goes towards that legacy plan in the form of investing in multifamily real estate. And that option is available for all of us to take advantage of. So it's all those reasons and probably a few more. Sorry for the long-winded answer.
Well, I love that, because it's so big picture, and I think that so many people are just stuck on that hamster wheel, and they're just like, where's my next transaction coming from? So I think it's important to have these conversations for people to think big, like you just explained. It's awesome.
Well, if I don't know where I learned this from, if it was Earl Shove or Maxwell Batterson, I don't know where I would learn this from, but I just what so I was listening to a story recently. You guys know who David Goggins is, right?
Yes.
I don't think
Yeah. So
Yeah.
did you read the book Living with a Seal?
Yeah, Jesse.
Have you heard of that?
Yeah,
I've heard of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jesse lived with this freak and I say that in such a good way. David Goggins, I think it was for like 6 months. And on day one, they go to the gym because David wants to get an idea of what Jesse's made of. And Jesse was like, Jesse runs, these 100-mile races, but he's not a gym rat. He's a runner. And so David says, I want you to get up on that pull-up bar and I want to see how many pull-ups you can do. And Jesse said, well, he said, I did like 3 or 4. And David said, okay, that's great. Well, I want to see how many more you can do. And Jesse was like, that's all I can do. And David was like, no, you got more in you. So he did 1 more, right? So he said he did like 5 or 6. And if you've ever done a pull-up, like after you do like your max pull, you're pretty beat. Like it's hard to do more pull-ups.
Yeah.
So Jesse was like, what do you want to do next? And David said, we're not leaving this gym until you do 100 pull-ups.
Oh.
And Jesse was like, it's impossible.
Yeah.
And David said, you know what your problem is? Now, bear in mind, Jesse's married to the owner of Spanx,
Sarah Blakely.
right? Like they're Sarah Blakely. They're billionaires. And he has sold and runs multiple businesses, and he runs 100-mile races. And David says this to him. He says, you know what your problem is, Jesse? He says, you don't understand that when your brain tells you you're done, you're only at 40%. I want you to do 100 pull-ups. Do 1, walk around the gym. Do 1, walk around the gym. Do 1, walk around the gym. 3 hours later, he had done 100 pull-ups.
Dang.
And so I believe that all of us, not me, not you, Kristen, not you, Templeton, all of us were built for more. All of us. But for whatever reason, life, somebody told us we couldn't do something, and we become this like shell of a version of who we were supposed to be, who we were born to be, who we were meant to be. And if we're not pushing it, then we become complacent, and we end up in this place where we're just scared to move. And so I think it's essential that especially as a real estate business owner or a real estate team leader, that you set your sights on a larger target. It's critical. Whether you're attracting recruiting agents, because that's the game that we all play if we're team leaders and we have this opportunity at Real. But why not? If you want to serve 100 families next year, why not 200 families? And just see where you end up. Why not 300 families and just see where you end up? See what it makes of you to become that person that is serving 200, 300, 400, 500 families. And that's, by the way, that is the best part of this entire process of starting a team, of owning a brokerage, of being a team leader, a brokerage owner, is because you have to level up. Because if you don't, your talent is going to leave you, and they're going to go associate with somebody else that is leveling up.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got me fired up. I'm
Yeah,
ready.
You got me totally
I'm ready. I'm like,
fired
where
up.
have I been playing small?
I know.
It reminds me of a book. I don't know if you've read it, Clayton. 10X is easier than 2X. Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan.
Yeah.
Well, Clayton, we want to be respectful of your time. You are, you're at your daughter's volleyball tournament. You were kind enough to give us some time. Last question here. Where do you see someone who's listening to this? This is what happens oftentimes. People are curious. They reach out. We'll send them this podcast. They are a team leader. They are an indie brokerage. What is the final thought you would want that person who's on the fence? They keep grinding their team where they are. They keep grinding their indie brokerage, or they really are considering this jump. What is the final thought that can maybe help them understand the opportunity in front of them and where we're headed as we say goodbye here?
It doesn't have to be this hard. It doesn't have to be this hard, and I'm not saying that there's an easy button, because there's not. I don't believe in that. But there are, having spent 12 years of my career with Keller, and loving every minute of it, by the way, like mad respect for Gary and what he built and the influence that he's had on the industry. But when I saw this virtual space, I just knew. Again, I said I only do a couple of things well, and I think one of the things is identifying opportunities and then not being afraid to act on them. And that means sometimes you're going to make mistakes, right? But you don't have to do this alone. It does not have to be this hard, this much of a grind to try to figure all of all the stuff that we talked about, the coaching, the training, the technology, the AI. Find a platform, whether it's Real or some other platform, but find a platform where it's already been built for you, and plug into that platform, and then go focus on the strengths and stay in that lane that is bringing you the most joy, and And here's what I found, guys, again, 20 years of doing this, is that when I'm in my lane, which is really just visionary, when I'm in my lane and I can focus on that piece because I'm not distracted by all these other pieces, that's when I have like true joy, and I also have the most impact. And that's to me, that's what this whole thing is all about, is how can we have the most impact? Because by the way, money doesn't do it. Right. If you've like not had money like me and then had a little bit of it, money doesn't fill that that pit in our soul. But helping other people succeed and kind of push through those limiting beliefs and providing them with opportunities, that's what I think gets a lot of us, like, the juices like really, really flowing. But you don't have to do it by yourself. And that's where I think Real Templeton offers an option, a really good option for a lot of people. Like, if you don't know, you should absolutely look at it, and then make the determination for yourself whether or not it's going to fill all of those holes that are in your business currently.
Well, we appreciate you, Clayton. That is such a
So good.
before we got on the podcast, I was like, I feel like Clayton is like the adult version of like who I want to become.
Yeah.
Like, you're just,
I was like,
dude,
we can't be late.
you were just dialed in, man.
And I was late.
I was thankful for that.
A lot of us look up to you. We respect what you've built. We appreciate to be in business with you, and just so excited that what we're all growing together.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? Where can people find you?
You guys are amazing. So yeah, you can just go to Instagram. It's just Clayton Gits, GITS, or you can find me on Facebook as well, and just message me, and happy to have a conversation.
Thank you, brother. Go enjoy that family.
Yeah. Thanks, Clayton.
You guys are amazing. Thank you.
Okay.